Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we are still carrying on our Halloween horror theme for this month. We are talking about a 1970s cult classic, to be precise, from 1979, where we first meet the Ball and the Tall Man. We are talking Phantasm. So we'll go around this little small group with our opening thoughts of the movie. Beef Dad, we'll start with you. What's your opening thoughts on Phantasm?
Well, I saw it when it first came out, and yeah, I found it very creepy. I rewatched it again the other day, and I didn't find it anywhere near as creepy as I did when I first saw it. Basically, because when it first came out, it was very original, and there have been some pretty evil things on film since then.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, it was, as I say, it was creepy. And the performance by Angus Scrimm as the Tall Man is just absolutely incredible. The little fella, Michael, he's very good in this. The way he keeps chasing his brother around and following him around and watching him have sex in the cemetery, it really amused me. But yeah, I will be very honest. One thing I had forgotten was the fact that it's an interplanetary thing.
Yeah.
It's not just a horror film. Perhaps it's my age, but I mean, it's a very long time since I saw it. So, and I'd forgotten about the interplanetary side of it, and that is extraordinary. It's considering when it is very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of unpleasant bits, murders and things that are done so well. But the one thing that I found, because I watched it earlier in the week and I watched it again today, and the one thing that I really found that I didn't enjoy about the film was the music. It's very minimal. And
Yeah.
it's just bang bang, yeah, all the time.
Wait a minute.
It's
Isn't that Friday the 13th music?
what?
That isn't that in that movie?
Yeah, that's basically the basis of all the music of it. Is,
I thought we were talking about Phantasm though.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
And I found it very sad that they didn't do a bit better on the music on this. That's it. That's me.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. We'll move over to Alex and Susan then. What's your opening thoughts on Phantasm?
Well, actually, I did like the Phantasm music. I think again the other issue too is the fact that people forget that horror movies like monster movies, that they have to grab you right away, and very few of them are really that good that you say, oh, I want to watch that again and again, or unless you're a really big fan. But it also sort of amazed me how many, and it's not really original, of course. I mean, horror movies are not original, really. But especially the ending reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street and how they did it better, actually. But again, unless you're a devotee of bad movies or horror movies, you're not going to see every single one. You're not going to remember every single gimmick or trick or whatever. But I know a lot of people that do love this movie, and I can see why. I think that's the other irony as well as what we're discussing right now, is the fact that so many of the first horror movies come in really good. You know, they're made on a low budget, they're semi-realistic or pretty realistic for the most part. And then somehow when they get to the sequels, it turns into a cartoon, it turns into, you know, a game completely where there's almost no realism in it at all. And that actually takes away from it. But yeah, the tall man is great. He was great in most of the sequels as well. He's died now. I think, what was there, 5 of them? And the other problem is, then the other issue is they run out of budget. But this one had almost no budget, and it did a very good job. I mean, the funeral parlor and mausoleum, it looks great. The background looks great. The music is good. Even the surprise, which I'm not going to reveal, is good. The silver, you know, balls, as we call them, not spears, but, you know, even they're scary. So yeah, I know a lot of people that you know love this series. It's a shame it didn't do a little better. I think it deserves a little better credit than it's given. And then you even have a little bit of classic rock, a little metal, a little acid. You know, acid music or acid rock or jazz, as we call it over here in the States. But yeah, a lot of it was very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, which came out in '84, and this came out in '79. Wes Craven is good, but I did like this movie. I've seen the other ones. Some of them are very good. Some of them are very corny. It all depends. But yeah, it is interesting how it's very hard to have a really good horror movie series where every movie is good, every effect is good, acting, music, you know, all that. They usually have like, you know, maybe 3 good ones, and then when it goes to part 4, part 6, or part 9, uh, it gets a little weird. But yeah, I mean, this is semi-realistic for the most part. So you know, I got to give my hats off to it. That you know, it pulls you in right away. It's not super corny at the beginning. It's very realistic, so it pulls you in. Yeah, probably like The Omen did, or probably like Psycho did, or whatever. Even though Psycho is technically probably the first pop horror movie that really did a good job and was kind of a slasher flick, if you think about it. Everything else before was what? Monsters and aliens and other things like that. And then how they mix it in too. They mix it in here, where you have, you know, a combination of 4, which is pretty good.
So, thanks, Alex. Let's see. There's a new movie out, relatively new, called Murder Ball, and that's what these are. These are little murder balls. They are like the control spheres for the Yeti and in the second Doctor episodes on Doctor Who, and so that was kind of interesting. And the tall man was gothic, you know, horror, good stuff, and I enjoyed the I like the bit in the spaceship where it's all white, and then there's that like transmat thing that was very much like transmat. So these guys, the producers, must have been watching Doctor Who. In my humble opinion, they must have been plugged into that, because the transmat looked like the transmat, and then the murder balls look like, you know, Yeti control spheres. And yeah, so I enjoyed the movie a lot, and you know, yeah. So that's my bit, my opening thoughts. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, it's what Beef Dad mentioned. You think you're sitting down to watch a horror movie, but really it turns into a science fiction movie because all the tall man is an alien, really, from this another planet, taking the dead and creating them into these dwarf-like creatures, which you don't expect. If you've never seen this movie before, you don't expect that. So that is a good twist. Yeah, it's Michael and Reggie, great characters. But as I say, for me, it's the tall man what makes this movie, Angus Scrimm, which he wasn't that tall. They had to make big platform shoes for him to be a bit more taller. But he did it, and he didn't say much in the movie. It's just the way his face, the way he walked, screen presence.
Boy.
Yeah, that, just one word. I agree with Alex about the ending with the mirror and all like that. That yes, it was sort of done at the end of Elm Street as well. But each horror movie or any movie steals from another movie. So yeah, as it said, nothing's really original. Yeah, it's eerie. It's a bit dated now, but from the time it was made, 79, you can understand why Beef Dad was pretty scared when he first saw it, because it does shock you a bit. There's certain things in this movie. The finger and the little black box on the old lady's table. Yeah, it's good to watch again. And I may sit down and watch all the other four. Now I've got the taste for Phantasm again. So let's go around for favourite moments and things what you wasn't so keen on. We'll reverse order this time. We'll go Susan and Alex, and we'll work our way back to Beef Dad.
All right, I'll start again then. So my favorite moments were I love the bits in the mortuary. Those were super amazing. Like especially when they cut off the finger and then the finger goes with them. Yeah, the mortuary scenes were pretty cool, and I liked I really liked the acting. I thought that it was really good acting for what it was. And so that's a real reason that I liked it. And here's Alex.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the music. I like the fact that it was semi-realistic. I like the fact that it had a little rock and roll by guitar there.
Yeah.
You feel like you definitely feel like you're in the 70s. You definitely feel like you're with the guys,
Where they're on the porch just jamming with the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're with the guys, And then the ironic thing too, because I don't know about the rest of the people here, but I remember all the reviews. Of course, it's changed now because of the internet and the remakes and the remakes and remakes and such of horror movies are really disgusting and degrading and really mean toward women. I said, wait a minute though, one of the women in this movie is the killer. So even though it is the tall man in disguise, I said, oh, so there you go, they're switching it up there as well. So I remember that I know some people that's why they really love this movie, because it's still a horror movie, but it's a sci-fi movie, and then it turns it on its head. It doesn't follow the regular rules and the regular stereotypes necessarily or tropes of horror movies. But like I said, yeah, I mean, any movie, any fictional story is going to have, faults and downsides to it. But yeah, I did like it. We actually saw a version where the Scrimm actually was talking before we saw the movie, and he did his boy thing with the eyebrow, eyes sticking out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's good, and there's other, I mean, that's what a horror movie is supposed to do. It's supposed to be semi-realistic. You don't know if you're awake or asleep. You don't know if you're going crazy or not. It's supposed to have a scary soundtrack. And the other thing I noticed about the version we were watching is the music didn't get too loud most times. It stayed kind of low. It didn't
Are
reach.
you arguing with Beef Dad?
Yeah, no, I'm not. But I'm just saying
Okay. Better
that.
not.
I'm just saying that, I mean, I know why people like this series and they like this movie in particular, is that it is a little different from the other movies that we're going to talk about, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that sort of, 1978 to 1988, where they seem to have like 10 billion horror movies, which is kind of a problem too. But at least most of those were somewhat original. They weren't remakes of remakes. They probably should remake this series, but the problem is, what actors are they going to get to do it? And almost everybody's gone. And can't have Shrim, or however you pronounce his name. So the tall man's out. But I mean, again, it had it had nice sets. It had the music was good, So that's the funny thing, is that when you went into the other sequels, then it started getting even more ridiculous. And some of them, because there were 4 other movies, so some of them started to get ridiculous. Some of them had huge budgets, and I think the ones that were better were the ones that didn't have huge budgets. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Do you guys know of a horror movie series that is good all the way through from 1 to 6 movies, or is it just kind of 2 and 3 and then it starts?
No, you're always going to get a clanker in some series of movies.
Yeah. No, but do you guys know of any horror series that you would say, it's 90% good, or it's not?
No.
No. So no.
I wouldn't say that. So.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other irony of a horror movie too, is that most people don't want to see a really intellectual horror movie. They want to see a, just like a Western. Here's the part where I had the horses. Here's the part where we shoot the guns. Here's the part we have the confrontation. That type of thing. I'm trying to think of any really good horror series. I can't really think of one that was really good all the way through. There was, I mean, most of the horror series have at least 2 or 3 good movies, but I can't think of one that was good all the way through.
No, you're going to get some duff ones in a franchise of movies. You always do, any franchise of movie.
I'll have to think about it.
You could say the Elm Street franchise, you could say the Friday the 13th franchise, Hellraiser franchise. You're still going to get some duff movies.
Yeah, I mean, of course, all the series have their fans too.
Even the duff movies have the fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
No. Thanks for that. Right, we've been. Susan's had your say, haven't you? Yeah. Yeah. As you just mentioned about the sequels to this one, it was 10 years until the second one came out, and he didn't want to do a sequel. But it took him 10 years, and Hollywood threw the money at him. The second one did have the big budget, and you could tell, and it was more of a comedy. So that's why in the other sequels he went back to basics, I think. Beef Dad, favourite things you like in this, or things you're not so keen on?
Well, I liked the moment where the tall man and his motor smashed into the tree and burst into flames, and you think to yourself at that point, that's it, he's got to have gone. There's no way that anyone or anything could survive that. And then he turns up again later, and it's the moments where he turns up chasing the little fella Mike, and he'll be looking at something, look in the mirror, see the door behind him, and there's the tall man standing in front of the door. Moments like that were just so creepy and so scary, and they worked really, really well. for me. And yeah, the moments where the tall man disguised himself as a woman.
Lady in Lavender.
The lady in lavender, and turned up and shoved a knife into someone. That was just extraordinary. And those moments like that, and obviously the bit that everybody always remembers from this first film was when you see the ball.
Mm.
And it's not just a ball, it's got a fork on either side. Well, it's got a thing on either side, which is evil. And when it hits whoever, it then drills. And that scene was particularly disturbing. That worked really, really well. And the sudden difference in everything when Michael has a look into the
void,
the gateway, and that is just extraordinary. That because you just go, what the hell? And that was mind blowing. Which is good that you get a surprise like that in a film, and then it changes your whole idea of the film, because up to then you think it's all demonic, but then it's not. It's aliens, which was a very clever switch, I thought, and a twist. I like a good twist in a film, and that was a twist. That was an excellent. Yeah. And that's me.
Oh, that was Beef Dad, and now it's over to me. There's so many good things in this. We've said Angus Scrimm is just brilliant, but there's one scene in it where he's just walking down the street, slow motion, on the opposite side of the street to young Michael, and he's just walking, and then he just turns and he starts to just sniff and smell. That just is creepy. That is just creepy. And as I said, the scene where he's comes through the window at him, where Michael looks out the window and he just goes through the window. That brilliant screen presence was from the tall man. But say the ball, very you don't expect it, and that's good. It's not overused in this movie. The sequels they do use more and more. It's only a few times in this movie. It's also when you get I forgot his name, Reggie, the ice cream man, because really he's the hero of the movie, Reggie, because he's in every of all the other movies as well. You don't expect Reggie to be the hero, but and there's one scene as well. As I said, I've mentioned it before, the black box on the table. Just put your hand in there. A simple scene, but you do feel for him. You do feel the fear. What he's got. I want my hand out. Great acting from the young Michael there. I think the actor's name is Michael as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Michael's name is Michael, and I think Reggie's name is Reggie.
Yeah, very original.
Makes it easy to remember.
Oh yeah. But all in all, I enjoyed this, and as I say, as Beef Dad said, the twist. Good twist. It's a good twist. You don't see it coming. So, yeah, I enjoyed rewatching this. So, have we got anything else to say on Phantasm?
Yeah, that black box kind of reminded me of the Gom Jabbar and the Dune story, especially when he goes into that fear is the mind killer.
Yeah.
His version of fear is the mind killer.
Yeah. I can see. I can see what you're saying there. Yeah.
That was really. Anyway.
So right, we'll go to final.
I would read it to you, but I haven't prepared it in advance, so
I'll
just drop that little bit in there, and then.
Future Susan, write it down, and we'll listen to you. Right, we've got a final say and scores. Seeing as you're unmiked, Susan.
All right. Well, I was surprised. I was expecting this to be horror and not science fiction. I was expecting it to be gruesome, and it didn't disappoint me in that area. So I'll give it about an 8 out of 10. It was a good watch, and I enjoyed it. I may or may not revisit it if Beef Dad, since Beef Dad is right about a lot of stuff. The part that, if I watch it again and it disappoints, I may, anyway, I'll watch it with some tongue in cheek or something. Here's Alex.
Yeah, no, I give this an 8. It's pretty good. Like I said, it's mostly realistic. It's raw. It's low budget, so it adds to the realism. It does sort of catch you off guard. That's what a horror movie's supposed to do. You're not supposed to see the turns and the twists coming. It's not a perfect movie, but it's pretty good. I've seen the other ones. They're not horrible. But again, it's kind of sad that it took 10 years for the second one. And it wasn't that great. It was interesting, but it was more of a comedy. But yeah, I mean, it's it's a worthwhile series. It's just not the best, and unfortunately, you have a lot of studio interference and all that, and probably should not have that. But like I said, I know a lot of people that love this series. Love the. Unfortunately, the guy is dead now, so they couldn't make any more. But it's 5 movies anyway. So I guess if you really like it, I might watch a few again just to refresh my memory. But that's the thing. I've seen so many bad movies. Even I can't remember them all. And horror movies, in a way, are bad. But if they're done well, they become memorable. They become cult classics. And this is one of them.
Cool. And we'll move over to Beef Dad.
Yeah, I should say, I remember watching it when it first came out and getting the creeps from it then. And yeah, I love the twist at the end that changes it from a horror film to a science fiction film. I think that's just that was just so clever. And yeah, some of the performances were brilliant. Yeah, so for me, it gets an 8.
Oh, cool. So it's down to me then. Phantasm, 1979 original version, which spawned 4 sequels. Yeah, brilliant performances. Story-wise, yeah, great twist. Tall Man, it's an iconic horror figure now. His character, and the ball. Everybody knows the ball. You say Phantasm, the ball. Yeah, I think I'll go an 8 as well. It's deservedly an 8. So there you go. That's Phantasm for you. So until these guys here, I'd like to say thank you for joining me talking about this movie. You guys out there, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of Phantasm. If you want to join us, we're all over social media. Just leave a message, and we'll see if we can get you in a cast as soon as we can. So until next time, it's bye from me. It's bye from Beef Dad. It's bye from Susan, and it's bye from Alex. And one final thing. Boy!